In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college basketball games happening on November 30th, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college basketball games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Wyoming versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech steps into this matchup with a record of 5-2, and Wyoming arrives at 6-1. The market set Texas Tech as a sizable favorite at about -19.5, which reflects ranking, home comfort, and name value rather than a true gap in on-court rhythm. Wyoming has pieced together wins with steady control, and it scored close to 87 points per game without leaning on frantic pace or streaky shooting. Texas Tech gained public momentum after its 82-50 win in its last outing, and that result often shapes perception more than the broader body of work. Both teams operate near an average tempo, roughly 69 or 70 possessions, which limits the number of chances for a blowout to snowball. Wyoming has defended with balance, held opponents under 40% from the field, and kept opponents under 70 points per game. The team plays organized half-court sets and avoids long scoring droughts, which often keep large margins from growing. Texas Tech has several marquee games on the schedule after this one, and that setting can create a natural dip in urgency. Wyoming brings a clear identity built on possession-by-possession patience, and that profile resists the kind of game that creates 20-point swings. Over the length of a full game, those traits often compress the scoring margin and allow the underdog to stay within reach of the number. As our first pick for this matchup, the Wyoming Cowboys to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Wyoming puts up close to 87 points per game, and Texas Tech adds about 82, and that total suggests a wide-open shootout. Their allowed scoring paints another picture because their combined defensive output sits closer to 140 points per game. Texas Tech shoots a large volume of threes and connects at a strong rate, but that approach brings empty possessions along with the made shots. Those empty possessions slow the pulse of the game and reduce the number of scoring windows. Wyoming has already pushed several games into controlled, lower-scoring results by forcing opponents into long half-court sequences. Texas Tech displayed the same defensive grip when it held New Orleans to 50. The trend in their results supports this measured shape because 4 Texas Tech games cleared the posted number, while only 2 Wyoming games reached that level. Both teams favor structure over chaos and often guide the game into a steady tempo that does not inflate the scoreboard. Over the course of 40 minutes, their combined styles lean toward efficiency rather than volume, and that usually softens the pace enough to keep the number in check. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. St. Bonaventure versus Florida Atlantic. The setting in Boca Raton creates a charged environment, yet the number posted on the game leans more on name recognition than on how these teams actually match up. St. Bonaventure enters with a record of 6-1-0, and Florida Atlantic stands at 5-2-0. The Bonnies reach this point after a demanding stretch that exposed them to strength, speed, and pressure across several styles. Their meeting with North Carolina forced them to absorb contact, chase rebounds, and stay disciplined for long stretches. Their win over East Carolina required poise, spacing, and a steady approach to each trip down the floor. Those experiences shape how they enter this matchup because they now show comfort in slower possessions, late clock decisions, and half-court execution. Their defense keeps opponents in the high 60s, and their offense stays in the mid-70s, which shows balanced production rather than streaky swings. Florida Atlantic scores around 80 points per game and allows close to 72, which places them in games where pace and timing matter as much as shot selection. They can score in volume, but they also give up enough to invite close finishes. Their setback against George Mason, a fellow Atlantic 10 opponent, offered a clear look at how they respond when faced with strong positioning and controlled tempo. In that loss, they struggled to generate clean runs and often had to settle for contested looks. That result did not mark a collapse, but it did show how opponents with structure can pull Florida Atlantic into slower, tighter games. Publicly available information shows no confirmed new absences or major changes for either side tied to this matchup, With both rosters intact, the matchup shifts towards style, spacing, and composure. St. Bonaventure has leaned on those traits throughout the early season, and that gives them a clear foothold as they prepare for a road test in a loud building. As our first pick for this matchup, the St. Bonaventure Bonnies to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. This total number suggests steady scoring from both teams, since Florida Atlantic averages about 80 points per game and St. Bonaventure sits in the mid-70s. Yet totals depend on rhythm, pressure, and how each side chooses to manage possessions. The Bonnies arrive from a schedule that has pushed them into methodical games. Their meeting with North Carolina forced them to value each touch, as the Tar Heels controlled the glass and limited clean shots. Their win over East Carolina required them to settle into a patient flow that kept the Pirates under 60. Those games shaped them into a team that slows down when necessary and protects the ball. Florida Atlantic excels on offense, but does not push extreme tempo. Their strength comes from running sets with balance and discipline, rather than racing up and down the court. When they faced a more organized defense in George Mason, the Owls finished with 65 points, which shows how their scoring contracts when opponents reduce transition chances and control spacing. The last meeting between these two programs ended at 64-54. The personnel has changed since then, yet that result still reflects how their styles can converge into a physical game that limits clean rhythm. Both teams have reason to value each possession, and neither side relies on relentless pace. Those factors point toward a controlled flow and fewer scoring swings, which lowers the chances that the posted total comes into play. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Belmont versus Charleston. Belmont enters this matchup with a firm 7-0 record, and their approach reflects a group that trusts its structure on every possession. They space the floor with purpose, move the ball through simple reads, and avoid actions that invite turnovers. Their offense grows from patience, and their players stay comfortable when the shot clock runs low because the system keeps producing workable angles. Their defense mirrors that same control, holding shape, closing off driving lanes, and forcing opponents to operate in tight windows. This balance between discipline on offense and stability on defense gives them a steady identity. Charleston holds a 4-4 record and leans on energy and home support to create swings, yet their rotation carries real strain with key injuries confirmed. That changes how long they can maintain pressure, how well they can guard ball movement, and how quickly they reset after broken possessions. Their effort remains strong, but the gaps in their lineup can stretch them during long stretches where Belmont's patient rhythm wears down defenses. Charleston can still generate moments of momentum, but they now have to work harder to match a team that embraces order and thrives in slower, deliberate possessions. When one team enters with continuity and another adjusts around missing pieces, the team with the steadier rhythm gains an edge in shaping the matchup. As our first pick for this matchup, the Belmont Bruins to cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Belmont prefers to build possessions with measured movement, guiding the ball through hands until a clean opening appears. They do not rely on quick trigger possessions, and their spacing often slows opponents by forcing them to defend deeper into the clock. Their defense funnels ball handlers into help and forces extra passes, which reduces the number of easy attempts on both ends. Charleston brings energy, but the shortened rotation affects the way they manage long minutes, especially in games that demand repeated defensive resets. When a team has to cover more ground with fewer active pieces, the transition game often slows, and the half-court becomes the primary setting. Their offense can still score, yet they are less likely to push pace for extended stretches against a team that imposes structure. As both sides settle into a rhythm built on set actions rather than rushed play, scoring often comes from selective looks instead of constant pressure, and the game leans toward steadier, lower-scoring stretches. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.